So good morning, everyone. We'll begin with the reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be the heirs. So continue to follow Rev Heng Sure and Marty on their pilgrimage. Today's entry is by Rev Heng Sure, April 22nd, 1978, titled Mindfulness, Survival Tool. The natives of the Great Barrier Reef have a saying: when diving, be careful of the creatures in the coral. If it doesn't bite you, watch out, because it's about to sting you. We have learned to cultivate this way as well. Nature is harsh in Big Sur. Each step off the pavement into the underbrush requires constant, vigorous mindfulness. Big Sur is an excellent way place for training and disciplining the body and mind. Master Hua says, cultivate in your mind as if walking on the edge of a deep abyss. In thought after thought, be as if fighting for your very life, as if walking on thin ice. Then you can have some success. If the poison oak doesn't snag your precept sash, the wind blows it into the barbed wire. Concentrating on avoiding the half-inch long fire ants, you may step on a sunbathing rattlesnake. Being mindful of deportment, Vinaya verses, and correct conduct for bhikshus, you seek to relieve yourself on a 6-inch ledge on an abrupt 200-foot drop-off. Takes the skill of a gymnast and the nerves of a tightrope walker. Returning to the highway, shoes full of stinging nettles, there's not much time to admire the poppies and lupine Indian paintbrush or sea daisies. Whizzing motorhomes often cover the road shoulder as they slide through the curves. Discipline yourself. When proper mindfulness is complete, the experience of harmony with nature is quiet, peaceful, and fine. It takes energy and full attention to do it all right, in the smallest detail, even for a moment. We wonder at the skill and strength of cultivators who never lose mindfulness in any situation, even at death, when the 4 elements scatter. So reading this section, it reminded me of a chapter in the Dhammapada that I thought of reading for everyone. This principle that Rev Heng Sure is talking about is sometimes translated as the word vigilance. I think it's extremely important for current times to be vigilant, because if we aren't, what can easily happen is we get washed away by our afflictions, habits, dramas, what have you. I can just say I was just talking with a friend, and he was sharing me about his life and things. And I asked about his spiritual practice. And he said, yeah, I came for the Chan session at Berkeley, and for maybe about next 2 weeks, things went pretty well. After I said, I can use my Chan and everything that arose. But after a while, it just got too much, and I just got overwhelmed and went back to video games and movie watching. Yeah, it happens, right? The world has its hooks on us, and if we're not paying attention with our minds moment to moment, it's easy for one hook to get us, the second hook to get us, the third hook to get us, and before we know it, we're just kind of living in a little bit of a dreamlike state, trying to get through the day, trying to numb ourselves with drugs or video games or TV, entertainment, the whole gamut, surfing the internet, just endlessly looking at stuff. The current world is really good at just catching our attention and having us slip in our vigilance. So this is the chapter from the Dhammapada, chapter 2, vigilance. Vigilance is the path to the deathless. Negligence is the path to death. The vigilant do not die. The negligent are as if already dead. It's one of the favorite passages of Ajahn Amaro. If we really want to live our lives, then we have to be extremely aware. See what's going on. Knowing this distinction, vigilant sages rejoice in vigilance, delighting in the field of the noble ones. So this is actually cultivating a sense of actual joy for this quality of awareness, right? Rather than, you could say, cultivating a joy in the quality of confusion and negligence and kind of like just casualness. It's like, no, I should really value being aware and clear about what's going on. Absorbed in meditation, persevering, always steadfast, the wise touch nirvana, the ultimate rest from toil. So it's interesting, with this vigilant mind, which could seem like it's a lot of hard work, actually what it leads to is a place of ultimate rest, true zidzai, self-mastery. Glory grows for a person who is energetic and mindful, pure and considerate in action, restrained and vigilant, and who lives the Dharma. Through effort, vigilance, restraint, and self-control, the wise person can become an island. No flood will overwhelm. Now this is actually quite useful as a reflection, that actually if we're vigilant, no matter what comes at us, we can take it. We don't get overwhelmed. We get overwhelmed, why? Because we become negligent. And we let the thoughts of being overwhelmed, being afflicted, start to seep into our mind, seep into our thoughts, our emotions, our body. We kind of tense up, we get anxious, because we lost the actual place of awareness, of paying attention. And then we can kind of go down the rabbit hole. Unwise, foolish people give themselves over to negligence. The wise protect vigilance as the greatest treasure. Don't give yourself to negligence. Don't devote yourself to sensual pleasures. Well, that's really important, because I think our society is definitely into sensual pleasure. Vigilant and absorbed in meditation, one attains abundant happiness. So true happiness doesn't come from gratifying the senses, but actually through an ability to not attach to our senses, to be restrained in our senses, to have mastery over our senses. Driving away negligence with vigilance, ascending the tower of insight and free of sorrow. A sage observes the sorrowing masses as someone standing on a mountain observes fools on the ground below. I don't think we want to think of this as a kind of a pride where we actually literally look down on people. But I think it's just an observation of the amount of suffering and pain that happens in the world because people aren't able to maintain their mindfulness. We get hooked. And then when the suffering comes, there's a lot of sorrow and lamentation. Vigilant among the negligent, wide awake among the sleeping. The wise ones advance like a swift horse, leaving a weak one behind. With vigilance, Indra became the greatest of the gods. The gods praise vigilance, forever rejecting negligence. The monastic who delights in vigilance and fears negligence advances like a fire, burning fetters, subtle and gross. The monastic who delights in vigilance and fears negligence is incapable of backsliding and is quite close to nirvana. So I think this quality of vigilance is something we can really reflect on today, maybe even practice. During the meditation this morning, I was using that a little bit like a mantra, saying vigilant, 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 kind of paying attention. And it's not a tight kind of fighting, fearful vigilance, or we're kind of just holding on with clenched fists and trying to pay attention with clenched teeth. I've found that doesn't work. I've tried that. It doesn't work. It leads to actually a lot of suffering and physical difficulties, physical problems. Rather, this vigilance is like the clear vision of having seen through what's going on with a kind of penetrating gaze. And just keeping that eye, keeping our vision on that place, saying, oh, I'm just going to look, watch, observe very carefully, very clearly, very relaxed. And I think you can try it out and see what happens, because I found actually it does serve as a protective shield against the fetters and afflictions that we sometimes get ourselves stuck in. Okay, let's do 3 steps, 1 bow.